I walked in on my boss and my fiancé in our new apartment. My name is Chloe, I'm 26, and a few weeks ago I walked into what was supposed to be the happiest place of my life and found my future blowing up in real time. I'd been with my fiancé, Ryan, for 3 years. We met at a friend's game night, bonded over our shared hatred of pineapple on pizza, and moved in together just before our 2nd anniversary. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We saved, we budgeted, we talked about our place for months, a bright apartment with big windows, a little office nook for me, space for his gaming setup, somewhere we could finally start our life as a married couple. On top of that, I'd just landed my dream job 6 months earlier, marketing coordinator at a mid-sized company I'd loved since college. My boss, Vanessa, was this intimidating, polished woman in her late 30s who seemed to have everything together. Sharp suits, sharper brain, the kind of confidence you feel when she walks into a room. I respected her like crazy. She pushed me hard, but also praised my work and told me she could see me going far. When Ryan met her at a company party, they got along great. He joked that she was terrifying in a hot way, and she laughed, then spent half the night asking about our wedding plans. It felt nice, like my personal life and professional life suddenly lined up, like I was finally becoming a full, complete adult with all the pieces in place. So when we finally got approved for a new apartment, it felt like the universe was saying, yes, this is your next chapter. We signed the lease together. We picked paint samples together. We argued over rugs and laughed about it. We hadn't officially moved in yet. We were bringing things over little by little before the big move on the weekend. I loved having this secret little in-between space, boxes and paint fumes and big dreams. I had no idea that other people were already making themselves very comfortable there without me. The day everything exploded started totally normal. It was a Thursday. I spent the morning at work buried in emails and campaign reports, the usual chaos. Vanessa was in a weirdly good mood, humming to herself, making jokes in the weekly meeting. Toward the end of the day, she came over to my desk, put a hand lightly on my shoulder, and said, "You can head out on time today, Chloe. You've earned it." I remember thinking that was oddly generous from someone who lived in the office. Ryan had texted me earlier, "Might hit the gym after work, don't wait for me." I decided I'd swing by the new apartment on my way home to drop off a couple of boxes from my car, kitchen stuff mostly, and just soak in the excitement for a bit. I didn't tell Ryan because it wasn't some big plan, just a last-minute idea. The building has this stupid heavy front door that always sticks, so I remember juggling my boxes, cursing under my breath, finally making it into the hallway. Our unit was at the end, freshly painted, the generic beige of the previous tenant, now a warm, off-white we'd picked together. As I got closer, I slowed down. Our door was slightly ajar. Not much, just a crack, but enough. My first thought was that the landlord had been in to check something. My second thought was that maybe Ryan had decided to surprise me and come early. I smiled to myself, nudged the door open with my hip and stepped inside. The lights were on. There was music playing softly from someone's phone on the kitchen counter, our counter, with 2 half-full glasses of wine beside it. My stomach gave a small, confused twist. We hadn't brought any wine over yet. Then I heard it. A laugh. High, familiar, flirting. Vanessa's voice, followed by a low murmur I knew almost as well as my own, Ryan's. The boxes slipped a little in my arms. I set them down slowly, quietly, like I was afraid to make a sound and also desperate for them to hear me. I walked down the short hall toward the bedroom, heart pounding so fast I could feel it in my throat. The door was half closed but not enough to block the view. Ryan was sitting on the edge of our bed, our mattress on the floor. We hadn't bought a frame yet. Shirt open, hair messy in the way I usually caused. Vanessa was standing between his knees, blouse untucked, lipstick smeared, one hand in his hair, the other on his shoulder. He kissed her neck and she laughed, low and breathy, and said, "We really shouldn't be doing this here." He replied, "What, in our place?" and chuckled, "She'll never know." The world went silent for a second. I didn't storm in or scream, not at first. I just froze. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket, snapping me back. It was a text from Ryan. "Still at the gym. Be home later." That's when something in me snapped. I pushed the bedroom door all the way open. The sound it made against the wall might as well have been a gunshot. They both jumped like they'd been electrocuted. Vanessa spun around, her eyes wide. Ryan's face went from playful to white as a sheet in half a second. For a moment, nobody spoke. The room smelled like wine and perfume and that awful, heavy air of something you can't unsee. Ryan scrambled to button his shirt. Vanessa yanked her blouse closed, avoiding my eyes. Chloe, he started. No, I said, my voice shaking but louder than I expected. Don't say my name like you're allowed to use it right now. He started some sentence. This isn't what it looks like. And I actually laughed. This broken, hysterical sound. You are in my new bedroom, in my new apartment, that I found, that we paid for, with my boss, whose name I literally introduced to you. And you're going to tell me it's not what it looks like. The next 10 minutes were the longest of my life. They both tried to talk at once. Ryan said it was a mistake, and that it only happened a couple of times, which somehow made it worse because that meant there were other times. Vanessa claimed they'd caught feelings and didn't know how to tell me, as if there's a gentle way to say, hey, I've been sleeping with your fiancé in the apartment you're supposed to build a life in. She had the nerve to say, you're so talented, Chloe. I didn't want this to affect your career. I looked at her. The woman who'd been mentoring me for 6 months and felt like I was staring at a stranger. You're my boss, I said slowly, like I was explaining it to a child. You knew exactly what this would do to my life. You just didn't care enough not to do it. Ryan tried to get off the bed and come toward me. I stepped back. Don't, I warned. My voice cracked on the word, and I hated that he could still hear me break. I told him to pack whatever he'd already brought over and get out, now. I told Vanessa that effective immediately, I would not be returning to the office until I'd spoken to HR, and that any communication about my job could go through email. They both started panicking then, not because they'd hurt me, but because their safety nets were slipping. He begged me not to throw away everything we've built over one stupid decision. She said I was overreacting, and that we were all adults. I think that was the moment my grief turned to something harder, colder. I picked up the key to the new apartment from the counter, the one with the cute keychain we'd bought together, slid it off his ring and put it in my pocket. You don't live here, I said. You never did. You were just visiting. Then I walked out. In the days since, I've scheduled a meeting with HR, documented everything, and started looking for another job because working under someone who treats my life like a side quest isn't happening. I moved my things into the apartment anyway. It's mine now, my space. My fresh start, minus the people who tried to stain it before I even got the chance to sleep there. Sometimes I still picture that first night, how it was supposed to be us on the floor, eating cheap takeout out of boxes, laughing about how grown up we were. Instead, it's me alone, eating noodles on that same floor, learning how to be okay by myself. So if you're listening to this, I want to know. If you walked into your brand new life and found the two people who were supposed to support your future tearing it apart in your own bedroom, what would you do? Would you fight for them? Or would you lock the door behind you and let them figure out what to do without you in the picture at all?